I want to let you know up front that some of these updates are not new hearings. They're just me letting you know the update on what is going on. But some of them are hearings. It's all mixed in. It's all crazy. It's all stuff I've been sitting on for too long. So here we go. Do you remember Mr. Jones? He's a lot of fun. The litigious Mr. Jones is back in court. Traffic court, our favorite place. First, let's remind ourselves of his antics the first time he showed up in traffic court.
I object!
Where's my...
All right, so we are here on this citation. It was issued on October 25th of this year on 124th Avenue there, City of Fenville, Allen County, State of Michigan. It's a civil infraction for failure to yield right of way involving an accident. Mr. Jones, you're here on this citation to do one of three things. First is you could admit responsibility to the citation, or two, admit responsibility, but you'd like to provide some sort of explanation as to how or why this happened. Or three, you wish to contest this citation. In other words, fight the ticket at what we call informal hearing. What were you looking to do?
I'm looking to contest the citation, Your Honor.
All right, then the first thing I'm going to do is swear all three of you in. Anyone who might be testifying, if you raise your right hand. Swear or affirm any testimony that you give here today would be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Jones, it makes a lot more sense to me to start with the deputies. They have the burden to establish to me why you were issued a citation in the first place. But after that, you'll have an opportunity to either ask questions or testify in your own behalf. All right?
Your Honor, could I address the court real quick here?
Yes?
You are going to be the decision maker today, correct?
Correct.
I would, I know I have a history in Allegan County. I recently had, every judge in Allegan County disqualified from hearing my cases.
Mr. Jones, I am familiar with who you are.
I would request at this time that an out-of-county judge be appointed to conduct this informal hearing, as I know for a fact you and I have filed civil litigation involving you. In the past, I fear that there's an appearance, at the very least, an appearance of impropriety or judicial bias. And I would ask that you remove yourself when we reschedule this, and then you ask Scale to appoint an out-of-county judge to hear this matter.
Here's what I would say to that. One is, I do think that your argument has a merit there, but I suspect it's when it involves a possible incarceration, in other words, a criminal case. This is a civil case, meaning the worst thing that can happen to you here is a fine. So I don't think it has the same strength of argument that you would be requesting a different judge. I will tell you this is informal hearing. You don't have to have informal hearing. You can go to what's called formal hearing, and then you would have the option of the district court judges. I don't know if you're familiar with both of them, Judge Belargent, Judge Scotchless. Would you have the same issue with both of them?
Both of them, I filed civil litigation. Both of them have recused themselves from my previous cases. And Your Honor, I would say that even though incarceration is not a potential outcome of this matter, I have a Class A CDL. That's how I make my money. That's my livelihood. And this citation would affect my ability to obtain and maintain my employment. And I mean, you're talking, that's a $90,000 a year hit. I'm just not willing to risk that. You know, when there's any kind of appearance of, potential.
Put it this way, Mr. Jones, I'm not going to have us go forward today with the informal hearing, because there is, at least at this point, I don't know whether or not you would have the same right to request a recusal on civil as there is criminal. But I don't see real point in us going forward with an informal hearing if you in fact do have a right to request that, because I think that should at least be decided upon. So what I will do is essentially what I would suggest we do is set this for formal hearing in front of the chief judge of district court, which is at this point in time Judge Scotchless, and essentially you would make the same sort of argument, and we'll let him have a rule of whether or not it would really need to go all the way to out a county judge. I suspect, as I suspect happens a lot with Judge Scotchless, that he usually says that, you know, he doesn't have a reason to recuse himself because he considers it to be that, you know, he certainly wouldn't have a prejudice on this. But I think we'll at least let him have the decision on that. So if you agree with that, we won't proceed today, and I will just set this in front of him. And then before you would proceed, you'd make that same argument, and I'll give him a heads up so he'd be able to look into whether or not you have the same rights to request a change of judge on civil. I just, to be quite honest with you, not sure what the answer to that is. I'm going to have to look it up myself. But if that's amenable to you, then that's how we'll proceed at this time.
It is, but it isn't. I mean, I object to the fact that I'm going to have to forego my informal hearing to be heard by a judge who has had no.
I think it would be also possible for that judge to rule that you would in fact be able to have an informal hearing first, but simply in front of the appropriate judge, whether we decide it could be anybody here on district court or not. I understand what you're saying. You know, essentially you'd be missing one free bite at the apple. So let's just put this on hold, and I will articulate the argument for Chief Judge and see what he thinks. All right.
Thank you. Could I put one more objection on the record? I see that there is a male officer about to testify or was about to testify. I was told by several people that this would be a formal hearing or an informal hearing between myself, a magistrate, and the officer who wrote the ticket. I would like to know why this other officer gets to put his input. I haven't seen anything he's written. I'm just going to object to that.
I'm assuming that might be the training officer. So they were probably both in the car that night.
So the officer who wrote the ticket is still in training?
I don't know, but Deputy Haskell, were you present that evening?
I was.
I don't even know if it was evening. I don't know what it was. But you were present for this?
I was, Your Honor. I was her trainer.
All right. So he could testify as a witness.
Okay. Then why didn't he write the ticket, I guess would be my question. I mean, I just want to get this on the record. Why didn't he write the ticket?
We're sort of opening up the hearing, which is what we weren't going to do. So.
All right. All right.
I'm going to go ahead and release you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And now he's back in front of Judge Norbrick, even though if he would have done what he said he was going to do, he wouldn't be back.
All right, this is a citation that was issued on October 25th of last year on 124th Avenue there at City of Fenville. This is a failure to yield right away. On this citation, Mr. Jones, you have the option of, number one, you could admit responsibility to the citation, or two, admit responsibility, but you'd like to provide some sort of explanation to the court as to how or why this happened. Or three, you wish to contest this citation. In other words, fight this ticket at what we call informal hearing. What were you looking to do?
Your Honor, again, I'm going to fight the ticket, but, the last time we had this hearing, I objected due to the bias or potential for bias under MCR. I think it's 2003. And the hearing was adjourned by you and was remanded to Judge Scotchless's courtroom, and I got paperwork saying that that's who I was supposed to be seeing today to determine whether or not a guy's CDLA and the fact that he could lose his livelihood because I'm a truck driver based on this ticket, whether or not I had a right to have a judge who was unbiased.
Yes. And I did talk to the chief judge about this, and we determined that this, well, first of all, you didn't file that in writing. You asked for that orally, but that if you want your informal hearing, that would be in front of me because you would have your right to appeal my finding.
Right.
So you wish to have a hearing?
Oh, you mean today?
Yes.
No, I'm still objecting based on the fact that you and I have pending litigation in the federal civil courts, and I don't think it's fair.
We don't. You filed an agreement that was dismissed, so we don't have pending anything civil.
I still have time to refile though. I still have time to get motion for reconsideration or to bring it
Sure,
to the next court.
but you didn't, Mr. Jones, and you didn't
I
file a
still have
motion to actually ask for me to be recused. So your
so,
options are you can have your informal hearing right now because we have the witnesses, or you can skip informal hearing and go to formal hearing. That would be in front of the district court judges, and then you could file a written motion. The
well,
same.
I can file a written motion in that court, the formal hearing court, but then I'm foregoing or having to subjugate my right to an informal hearing to get a judge who, with the appearance of fairness and.
Correct. You would be giving up your informal hearing, going directly to formal, or you could have informal hearing now, and then if you were found not responsible, I'm assuming you'd be done. But if I found you responsible, you would then have your right to take that it to formal hearing.
Okay, so what I guess I can do at this point is proceed today because with a judge who has a potential for bias or the appearance of impropriety, and then that way I reserve or preserve that right to appeal that in the next
Well, I
court. And the
can't I
next
can't
court.
give you legal advice, Mr. Jones. So
Because here's the thing: if I'm going to have to forfeit a right to have an informal hearing in order to have a hearing in a court where they will determine whether or not I have a right to an unbiased judge based on the fact that losing my CDLA would
well, no,
result in
sir. The problem is you're just asking for essentially oral argument on that. You did not file any motions. So today is our time for informal hearing. There's nothing filed with the court. And so we're either here now to have informal hearing, or you could skip informal hearing if for some reason you wanted to do that, to go directly to formal hearing. But those are your two options at this point.
Okay. So last time, this is the last thing I'll say about it. Last time we determined that, my argument had merit and I was looking forward to somebody determining whether or not you had said you don't know if I actually have that right due to the fact that there wasn't a potential for jail time. I said, well, wouldn't my potential to lose my livelihood or an ability to make a living as a truck driver due to the sanctions that would be imposed if I got found guilty of this ticket, wouldn't that warrant me having a judge who's unbiased?
Sure,
You said
Mr.
that
Jones,
determination.
what it would be is my determination of I think I could be impartial, which I do think I could be impartial, and therefore have the hearing in front of me.
You know what, Judge Norbeck, I will proceed under objection. I reserve the right to raise it in later courts.
So anybody who may be testifying today, go ahead and raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you give here today would be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
Mr. Jones?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes a lot more sense for me to start with the officers. They'd have the burden to establish to me why you were issued a citation in the first place. But after that, you'll have an opportunity to either ask questions or testify in your own behalf.
Your
So,
Honor,
deputies, I'm not sure who's going to be testifying first.
excuse
Yes,
me, Your Honor. My FOIA request still not been fulfilled to even get a copy of the police report. I have requested it. I've called down there. I've written letters, handwritten letters, and I still have not even received a copy of the police report. And again, this is I believe a situation I have with the Allegheny County Court.
There is no discovery on a civil infraction, so we would be proceeding. Which deputy wishes to testify?
I just want to see the police report, see what was said.
Well, I don't even know if there is a police report. All right, so Deputy Southwick, go ahead and proceed with your narrative somewhere where it makes sense to explain the issuing of this citation.
Okay, so on 10/25/2023 at around 4:14 in the afternoon, I was dispatched to a personal accident on 124th Avenue, close to 58th Street. When I arrived on scene, it was discovered that Mr. Jones was traveling westbound on 124th Avenue, where he then had lost something out of the back of his vehicle. I do not remember exactly what it was. He stated that he then pulled over to the side of 124th Avenue to go retrieve what had fallen out of his vehicle. He then tried to get back into the westbound lane of travel, where he then sideswiped another vehicle traveling westbound.
Okay. And so what citation did you issue? Failure to yield?
I then issued him, the citation for fail to yield right of way.
All right. And Mr. Jones,
Yeah,
would you either like to ask questions or testify on your own behalf?
I would, yes.
Go ahead.
I guess I'm just gonna, what's the officer's name?
On video there, Deputy Southwick.
Southwick. Deputy Southwick, how did you, you say that I sideswiped another vehicle getting back on, M89 westbound, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I guess first thing is, have you, how long have you been an officer or patrol officer with the Allegheny County Sheriff's Department?
About 4 months.
About 4 months? So not a extensive amount of experience, but everybody's got to start somewhere. Where did you take your accident investigation or accident scene investigation training?
Kalamazoo Valley Police Academy.
And they actually offer accident scene investigation during your, yeah? And
Yes.
how long was it? And what kind of a degree or certification did you graduate that particular part of the training?
I don't understand your question.
Did you receive any kind of certification or degree or recognition of any kind that accident scene investigation was a part of that training?
I passed police academy.
So you're saying that the police academy offers accident scene investigation as part of their course, but it's not recognized as anything individually, correct?
I'm not sure of that.
Well, did you receive a certificate? Did you receive some kind of recognition stating you have a training and experience in accident scene investigation?
Yeah, I graduated the police academy, so that means that I passed all of the certifications.
Did you or did you not receive any kind of certification or special recognition that was something that you had completed? Is there a certificate? Is there a paper with little boxes on it next to the different things that you've completed? I mean, exactly. Well, let me rephrase. How many times have you investigated accidents in Allegheny County in the last 4 months?
Quite a few. I do not have a certain number.
You don't have a certain number?
No.
Because I mean, now I'm just a forensic, files kind of guy.
Mr. Jones, I'm
Yeah,
going to give you a certain amount of leeway here, but this is informal hearing. There are no
right.
rules of evidence for this hearing.
Wow. Yeah, I guess I don't even get any evidence for this hearing. I couldn't even, I don't know what she wrote because I didn't get a
Sir,
copy of
it's a civil infraction. The rules of evidence do not apply to this hearing. It's not a crime.
But I still have a right, sir, to know what I'm being charged with and why.
The ticket is your indication of what you're charged with, sir. So at this point in time, I'm going to need you to move on.
Okay, so we established that Deputy Southwick has 4 months of training or experience with the Allegheny County Sheriff's Department as a patrol officer. We've established that she has completed some kind of training during her police
Mr. Jones,
academy.
I do not need you to reiterate for me what the evidence is.
Okay. So last thing,
You're making argument.
Right. Have we established that Ms. Southwick has no specific training in accident scene investigation? So what, I guess I'll move on. What was your, Officer Southwick or Deputy Southwick, did you witness what you say just took place, that I was getting back on and sideswiped another vehicle?
I did not witness it, but I did talk to the other driver, and that is what he stated.
Okay. So now this is all based on what the driver says. And I mean, if I just hit somebody, because I wasn't even on the roadway, did you take measurements at all of where the collision actually occurred? Was I even on the legal roadway, or was I still technically on the shoulder? Had I actually crossed the white line to get back on the legal? Do you know this, or has anybody taken measurements or determined where exactly in the lanes of traffic the crash occurred? Because I'm disputing the fact that I sideswiped anybody, because I know for a fact he hit me in my driver's door at 55 miles an hour because he was looking behind him at the gas can
Hey,
lane.
Mr. Jones, you're testifying, which you're able to do, but I want to bifurcate. This is,
Okay.
it seems you're asking the deputy questions. That's essentially cross-examination. And then you providing your own narrative of testimony, that's two different things.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm just trying to establish the facts because I still to this day in this hearing, I still have not received a copy of the police report. I don't know what they're saying I did, but here's what I do know, that I did not.
Well, let
get
me
back on the
clarify
legal
something
roadway.
for you, Mr. Jones. I suspect there may be a UD-10, but I suspect there is not an actual police report for a civil infraction.
Really? I mean, it was an
Deputy,
accident.
can you confirm? I'm assuming that you did a UD-10.
I did
Yeah,
UD-10.
Other than UD-10, did you create what we would call a police report
No,
as
Your
a
Honor.
criminal investigation? All right. There's your
Okay.
answer, Mr. Jones.
All right. So I mean, I guess I feel like I'm being, judged on this. We're having a hearing on this. I can't tell you what the facts that they're citing, so I can't tell you what facts are wrong, other than the fact that the deputy just said I sideswiped the vehicle. I think there's proof that one, I was hit. I didn't sideswipe nobody. I was hit. How would I sideswipe somebody unless I went into the eastbound lane? I mean, Deputy Southwick, I believe, did not have the experience to get out and properly investigate the
Sir,
scene.
you're making argument again. So if you'd like to tell me your version of events, then you can make argument. But right now you're just sort of arguing with the officer.
Okay. Deputy Southwick, did you speak to me at the scene personally?
There was 2 other officers who spoke with you.
Okay, so you wrote the ticket though,
I did.
and you did not speak with me at all on the side of the road at the scene of the accident, did you?
I did not.
And you did not witness this accident personally.
I spoke with the witness.
Okay, so what you based it on was what the witness told you. Did you give him a breathalyzer or any kind of
No.
anything? No, you didn't determine whether or not he was under the influence.
There was no reason to believe he was under the influence of anything.
So if he just had a drink when he left work down at ConAgra, you wouldn't have known this because it hadn't. I mean, it wouldn't have registered on, with your extensive experience. I'm sure you know how to read people and drunks and whether they're telling the truth or not. They probably offered that at KVCC, I imagine, during the police training. But I guess my point is this. I'm wondering what exactly you based your report on, other than what somebody who sideswiped me or caused an accident told you it was. And again, this is just a demonstration of bias in Allegan County that I feel I suffer from, which is why I'm asking for a hearing outside of county.
Mr. Judge, or Mr. Jones, the deputy has testified as to why she wrote this citation. All right. Would you like to testify why you think you're not responsible for this citation?
Well, I would still like to establish what actual physical, tangible investigation was done. Did she even determine I was on the legal roadway?
Mr. Jones, she testified, she spoke with the other driver, got the facts of the case according to that other driver, and then determined that you would be issued a citation. I'm assuming the other driver was not issued any citations, Deputy Southwick.
No, he was not.
All right. So, Mr. Jones, I need you to tell me your side of the story.
Okay, Your Honor. My side of the story, since I'm being told I can't question the officer anymore, was I was driving westbound on M89. I was not driving at a accelerated rate of speed. The hatch on an Explorer that I had just purchased and put a tag on just a couple days before that, the hatch came open. A gas can flew out of the back of my vehicle. It landed in the very middle of the westbound lane. There was a lot of chaos behind me because now all of a sudden you have a gas can laying in the roadway. You have oncoming traffic. You also have traffic that was also traveling westbound, same as me. I pulled off on the side of the road. I'm going to run back and get my can. I pulled off on the side of the road. The first thing I did was shut the hatch and proceed to look back. I saw cars pulling off of the roadway. I saw cars swerving into the eastbound lane. I saw a guy that had stopped shortly behind me. He was making a left turn across the eastbound lane. And that's when I was getting in my vehicle. I was intending to go down, turn around, and come back and get my can. But what happened was, before I could even get back on the legal roadway, I wasn't even on the legal roadway. I was still on the shoulder with my turn signal on. Look behind me. There's that car turning. Surely nobody's coming, right? Because he stopped. About the time that I go to proceed back to the traffic lane or the westbound lane, this guy out of nowhere, I mean, I look and he's right there. I mean, my headlights are like a foot from my side, I guess. And he hit me, glanced off, went another, I don't know, 150 foot down the road. My vehicle was totaled. His vehicle received damage on the right side, but I doubt any of this has even been reported. I don't know. Again, I don't know the facts of this other than what I'm telling you. But I know this: I never proceeded back onto the legal roadway. I did not sideswipe nobody. I was hit. Now I'm being told that the other driver wasn't even given a breathalyzer or any kind of anything to determine whether or not he was under the influence of something. Because clearly he was under the influence of being full of crap. Because I'm telling you right now, there's no way I sideswiped nobody. They wrote the ticket. It didn't make sense. They wrote the ticket for the failure to yield, but yet then turn around and cite me for sideswiping somebody. I can't sideswipe somebody and fail to yield all at the same time. I just don't see it unless I was in the east.
Well, I'll explain it to you, sir. If you're pulled over on the side of the road and then another car is traveling westbound on M89, they would have the right of way. So if there's an accident, that would be your failure to yield right of way. I would determine it would make a lot more sense that you turned into the car traveling westbound as opposed to the car traveling westbound somehow left the roadway and struck your vehicle, who you're saying was not on the roadway. So at this point in time, I would make a determination that it's more likely that you were the one that failed to yield right away. At no point in time, you entering the roadway of M89 would give you the right of way. That would always be your duty to yield to a car that was already on M89 traveling in the same direction. So I would find you responsible on this citation as it's written. Now, because you had a contested hearing, you do have a right to appeal this, say I don't agree with what just happened there, and take this to what we call formal hearing in front of the district court judges with the prosecutor's office. Just to let you know, the prosecutor's office would then be involved in this case and would likely, I would think, subpoena the other driver as a witness. But for you to get formal hearing, you must do two things. One is you must ask for that within 7 days of today's date. Your window of opportunity to ask for formal hearing closes after that 7 days. And second, you must come in and ask for that formally because you would need to post a bond. Do you understand your rights on appeal?
Oh, wait a second. Last time I had a bond in Allegan County, I had $20,000 cash and people standing in the bond lobby. Suddenly I had an emergency bond
Now,
hearing. Now
Mr. Jones, all that means is you have to post the same amount as the fine. So your bond in this case would only be whatever the fine amount would be. You essentially have to post that to have formal hearing. So you only have to post $135, sir.
Okay.
But you must come in and do that within 7 days of today's date. Do you understand your rights on appeal?
Yes, Your Honor, I still object to this hearing. I don't know how we even established I was on the legal roadway.
Okay.
There was no investigation. But thank
We're
you.
all set. I'm going to go ahead and release parties.
I think that I hope that you're not truly biased and sitting in judgment in this hearing. I feel like you are because I feel like they did not prove their case. They did not prove their case. What'd she prove? That she has limited experience with the Allegan County Sheriff's Department, no official accident scene investigation?
Right. Mr. Jones, I've made my decision. I'm going to go ahead and release parties. Thank you.
Where's the tape measure? I object.
All right, we're all set. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Jones followed through with his appeal and went before the district court judge in late February, despite his prior claims that he would not stand before any Allegan court judges. Surprising. I guess you can say he got what he wanted, though. His ticket was reduced to impeding traffic, which carries no points. But in addition to the amount of the ticket, there was over $100 in additional cost incurred. However, I kind of understand why he fought so hard to get this dismissed. In addition to his 1023 failure to yield the right of way, which is what we just watched, he had a 723 no red flag that he was able to fight and get dismissed. If you aren't familiar, when you have a vehicle or a trailer that has material extending off the rear tailgate, like you're carrying long pieces of metal or a ladder or anything like that, you have to put a red flag at the end of it. This helps the person behind you appropriately see the end point of the thing that you're carrying so they don't run into it. You know, safety and all that. Then in 2 of 23, he had a charge for expired plates that he didn't fight and was charged with, And while it's not traffic related, in 1022, he was convicted of witness intimidation. Before that, he had 3 additional charges of witness intimidation. He represented himself and did the disqualify the judge thing in circuit court. I'm not sure if these are related to an original charge of his own or his son's, because his son, who has the same name, seems to have trouble understanding the law. I'll keep an eye on Mr. Jones and let you know if anything else arises, but as for now, all of his cases seem to be settled, and as long as he drives safely, we shouldn't see him again.